So hello class 7 students, welcome back again. So today we'll start from page number 14 of the chapter Nutrition in Animals. So in the last class we have started the first compartment of the human digestive system, that is the mouth, or say the buccal cavity. So what we have learned in the last class, that the food is taken into the body through our mouth, right? That is, the food is ingested through our mouth. Now the digestion of food starts as soon as we put the food in our mouth. How? First of all, you need to understand that there are three important organs present in our mouth. And what are these? These are teeth. First of all, teeth. Then comes tongue. Then comes salivary gland. Okay, these three important organs are present in our buccal cavity, or say the mouth. So the mouth, or say buccal cavity, contains these three organs: teeth, tongue and salivary glands. So the function of the teeth we have learned in the last class. The arrangement and the types of teeth we have learned in the last class. The functions also we have learned that there are four types of teeth. First of all, incisors, canine, premolars and molars. And the functions of teeth is what? Teeth cuts the food into small pieces, chew the food and then grind it. Okay. Now the salivary gland secrete, or say release, or say produce a watery liquid which is called as saliva. Okay, salivary glands produces a watery liquid called as what? Saliva. S-A-L-I-V-A. Okay. Now what is this saliva? What is the function of saliva actually? So saliva is a digestive juice. First of all, what is it? It is a digestive juice. Digestive juice. Okay, digestive juice. Saliva is the digestive juice, and this helps to digest the starch present in the food. Saliva helps to digest the starch, which is also known as what? Complex carbohydrate. Okay, saliva helps to digest the starch, or say complex carbohydrate present in the food. Okay, present in the food partially. Saliva is a digestive juice which helps to digest the starch present in the food partially. Okay. Now this tongue helps in mixing saliva with the food. Okay. And the slightly digested food is swallowed by the tongue and goes into the oesophagus, or say the food pipe, which is the next compartment of the human digestive system after buccal cavity. Okay. So the partially digested food, or say the slightly digested food, is swallowed by the tongue and it goes down into the oesophagus, or say the food pipe. But before starting about the oesophagus, or say food pipe, let us go through this activity 2.3 first of all, which helps us to understand what is the action of saliva. So you see page number 14 that our mouth has the salivary glands which secrete saliva, right? So do you know the action of saliva on mouth? Do you know the action of saliva on food? Let us find it out. So activity 2.3, you see, take two test tubes. You need to take two test tubes here and label them as A and B. Okay, which is labeled over here also. In test tube A, put 1 teaspoonful of boiled rice. In test tube B, keep 1 teaspoonful of boiled rice after chewing it for about 3 to 5 minutes. You have understood this? You need to take some amount of boiled rice in test tube A and some amount of boiled rice in test tube B also. But in test tube B, you have to take the boiled rice after chewing it. Okay, after chewing it from through your mouth. The boiled rice you need to chew it, then you have to place it over the test tube B. Okay. Yes. Then you have to add 3 to 4 ml of water in both the test tubes. Okay, and pour about 2 to 3 drops of iodine solution in each test tube and observe. Okay, so this is the procedure you need to follow in this activity. Okay, first of all, what you need to do, you need to take two test tubes, test tube A and test tube B. You have to take some amount of boiled rice in test tube A, and you have to take some amount of boiled rice in test tube B, but after chewing it for 3 to 5 minutes. You need to take some amount of boiled rice in test tube B after chewing it for about 3 to 5 minutes. Then you have to add some amount of water in both the test tubes, and then you have to add 2 to 3 drops of iodine solution in both the test tubes. Now what will you observe? What we will observe in this activity? So you see, as you can already see from test tube A, that a blue-black color is produced in test tube A, which shows that the boiled rice contains starch. Okay, in test tube A you see blue-black color is observed, right, which shows what? Which shows that the boiled rice contains starch. Okay, but in test tube B there is no change in color. That means there is no blue-black color over here. Okay, which shows that there is no starch in the boiled rice. Okay, there is no starch in the boiled rice in test tube B. Okay, why? Because you have already chewed it. You have already chewed the boiled rice, and that chewed boiled rice is mixed with the saliva in your mouth. Okay, are you getting my point? The boiled rice which you have already chewed in your mouth is already mixed with saliva, and that saliva does what? Saliva helps to break the complex carbohydrate, that is the starch, into the simpler ones. Okay, saliva is partially digesting the starch present in the food to a simpler ones, that is sugar. Simpler carbohydrate is what? Sugar, or say glucose. So in test tube B there is no change in color. That means there is no starch in the boiled rice in test tube B. Why? Because it is already partially digested. It is already digested by saliva in your mouth. Okay, that is why there is no change in color after adding dilute or iodine solution in it. Okay, so the boiled rice and water is treated with saliva. The boiled rice which is treated with saliva in test tube B is mixed with water. Then the saliva does what? It breaks down the starch present in the boiled rice to form sugar. Okay, and there is no starch left in the test tube. There is no starch left in the boiled rice, or say in the test tube directly. Okay, so there is no blue-black color produced by adding dilute solution, iodine solution in it. So saliva breaks down starch into sugar in test tube B. Okay, that is why there is no change in color. Understood? So now about tongue. Yes, this one. Here you see it is written over here. Yes, this one. The saliva breaks down the starch into sugars. Okay, in test tube B, the boiled rice which you have taken is already mixed with saliva, and saliva has digested or broken down the starch present in that boiled rice to form sugar. That is why there is no change in color after adding dilute iodine solution in test tube B. Okay, that is why there is no change in color. But in test tube A, what did happen? You did not chewed it. You just added boiled rice in the test tube A, then you have added with iodine solution. Okay, that is why there is a change in color, because you did not add with saliva. Okay, you did not chew it. Okay, you did here in test tube A, it was not digested by saliva. It was not broken down by saliva. That is why there is a change in color. That is why starch is present there in test tube A, but here in test tube B there is no starch present. Understood? Clear? Okay. Okay, so in our buccal cavity we have discussed the functions of teeth. We have also discussed the function of saliva that is secreted by the salivary glands. Now the action or function of tongue is left. So let's discuss the functions of tongue here. So tongue is a fleshy muscular organ attached at the back to the floor of the buccal cavity. Okay, it is attached at the back side to the floor of the buccal cavity. Now it is free at the front and can be moved in all directions, right? Tongue is free and it can be moved in all the directions. Now, do you know the functions of the tongue? Right? You know the functions of the tongue. Yes, one of the functions I have already mentioned, that the tongue helps in mixing the saliva with the food during chewing, okay, which is very essential for the digestion process, okay, which is essential for the digestion of food. So the tongue helps in swallowing the food into the food pipe, right? I have mentioned this. The tongue helps in swallowing the food into the food pipe, or say oesophagus, okay. Now the tongue helps in getting the taste of the food also, okay. Tongue helps in getting the taste of the food, and the tongue is also essential for talking, or say speaking. What is written here, you see, we use our tongue for talking, right? We use our tongue for talking. So besides this, it mixes saliva with the food during chewing and helps in swallowing the food. So we also taste food with our tongue. It has taste buds that detect different tastes of food. It has what? It has taste bud, okay, which helps to detect the taste of the food. So there are 4 types of tastes: sweet, salty, sour and bitter. Okay, what are these? What are the 4 types of taste? Sweet, salty, then sour and bitter. These are the 4 types of tastes. So we can find out the position of taste buds by the following activity. This taste buds helps to detect different types of or different tastes of food, okay. So our tongue has 4 kinds of taste buds which detect sweet, salty, sour and bitter tastes, okay. So these taste buds helps to detect what? Different types of tastes. What are the different types of tastes? Sweet, salty, sour and bitter tastes. So all the parts of the tongue do not sense all the 4 tastes, right? All the parts of the tongue do not sense all the 4 tastes. So different parts of the tongue are sensitive to different tastes. That means there are different types of taste buds. Different taste buds are present in the tongue, on the tongue, which detects different tastes, okay. So let us see, there is an activity which helps to detect the taste buds. So prepare a separate sample each of sugar solution, which is sweet, common salt solution, which is salty, lemon juice, which is sour in taste, and juice of crushed neem leaf or bitter gourd. You can take neem leaf or bitter gourd. So the juice of neem leaf or bitter gourd is what? Bitter in taste. So blindfold one of your classmates and ask her or him to take out the tongue and keep it in straight and flat position. Use a clean toothpick to put the above samples one by one on different areas of the tongue as shown in figure 2.6. Use a new toothpick for each sample. Ask the classmate which areas of the tongue could detect the sweet, salty, sour and bitter substances. Now write down your observations and label figure 2.6. Okay, you need to label this figure, that is of figure 2.6, regions of the tongue for different tastes. Okay, so basically the observation which I am going to explain you, that most of the taste, okay, most of the taste buds at the front of the tongue detect this part, detect what? Sweet. Okay, remember, most of the taste at the front of the tongue detect sweet and salty tastes. Okay, sweet and salty at the front part, it detect what? Sweet. So the maximum effect of sweet taste is felt at the tip of the tongue, at the tip, this tip. At the tip of the tongue, it feels what? Sweet. Okay. So and the maximum effect of salty taste is felt just behind the tip of the tongue, just behind it, just behind this, or say this. It is what? Salty. Okay, salty. Remember? Okay. So more then the on the sides of the tongue detect sour taste. At the side, like this, here and here, it detects what? Sour taste. Over here. Okay. And at the back of the tongue detect bitter taste. Back of the tongue, that means at this position. Yes, at this position. At this position, it detects what? Not sour, it detects bitter taste. Yes, bitter. Okay. So what did I write? What did I explain to you? That at the front of the tongue detect sweet and salty taste, but at the tip of the tongue, it detects what? At the tip, here. At the tip of the tongue, it detects sweet. Most of the taste is what? Here, sweet. Okay, most of the taste buds at the front of the tongue detect sweet and salty taste, but the maximum effect of the sweet taste is felt at the tip of the tongue. Okay, and behind the tip of the tongue, you will feel what? Salty taste. Just behind the tip of the tongue. You will feel salty over here. Okay, salty. Okay. Then over here you will feel what? At the sides of the tongue, you will detect what? Sour taste. Sour. Okay. And at the back of the tongue, it detects what? Again, bitter. Okay. So these are the different positions of the different taste buds of the tongue. Okay. Okay, so now the next topic is the sweets and tooth decay. So normally bacteria are present in our mouth, but they are not harmful to us. So the bacteria, which is a microorganism, is present everywhere. It is also present in our mouth, but initially it is not harmful to us. So however, if we do not clean our teeth and mouth after eating, many harmful bacteria also begin to live and grow in it. So if we do not clean our mouth, okay, if we do not clean our mouth after eating, then what can happen? The bacteria which is residing in our mouth can grow, okay, can grow in our mouth. So then what happens? These bacteria break down the sugars present from the leftover food and release acids. Then what happens? The bacteria which is present in our mouth can break the sugars which is present in the leftover food. Okay, if we do not clean our mouth after eating, then the leftover food contains what? Sugars. Then the bacteria which is present in our mouth can break down the sugar which is present in the leftover food to form acids, and the acids gradually damage the teeth, and this process is only called as tooth decay. Okay, so what is a tooth decay? It is a process in which the tooth becomes rotten due to the formation of cavities or say holes inside it, leading to toothache. Okay, so if it is not treated in time, it can causes severe toothache, and in extreme cases results in tooth loss. We can lose our tooth or say teeth also. So some of the culprits of tooth decay are chocolates, sweets, soft drinks and other sugar products. Okay, so basically the sugar products, the food items which contains sugar, are the culprits of tooth decay. And if we do not clean our mouth regularly after eating, the leftover food which can be residing over our mouth or say in between the teeth, okay, can lead to tooth decay. How it can lead to tooth decay? Because the bacteria which is present in our mouth can attack or break down the glucose, or say sugar, can break down the sugar which is present in the leftover food to form acids, and those acids can damage the teeth, and that process is only called as tooth decay. Okay, so therefore one should clean the teeth with brush or datun and the dental floss. What is a dental floss? You see, it is a special strong thread which is moved between two teeth to take out trapped food particles. So it is basically a thread, okay, which can be placed between the two teeth so as to take out the trapped food particles. So we should clean our teeth at least twice a day and rinse the mouth after every meal. Okay, we should clean our mouth. We can rinse the mouth with water also. So one should not put dirty fingers or any unwashed object in the mouth. Okay, so these things will help to prevent tooth decay. Okay, the next topic is given in page number 15, that is why do we get hiccups? So let us see this. Sometimes when you eat in a hurry, talk or laugh while eating, you may get cough, get hiccups or a choking sensation. Okay, so how this happens actually? So this happens when the food particles enter the windpipe. Okay, and the windpipe carries air from the nostrils to the lungs, and it runs adjacent to the food pipe. Here, if you can see here, okay, the windpipe runs adjacent to the food pipe through the nostrils, and it carries air from the nostrils to the lungs. Okay, it carries air from the nostrils to the lungs, like, yes, from here, nostrils to the lungs through here. It runs adjacent to the food pipe. This is the food pipe, this is the food pipe. Okay, this will be the windpipe. Okay, let us see next what is given here. Okay, so it runs adjacent to the food pipe, but inside the throat, air and food share a common passage. Okay, there is a common passage for air and, or common path for air and food. Okay, food is carried by the food pipe, or say oesophagus, and air is carried through the windpipe, but there is a common path comes in the throat for air and food pipe, or for air and food to pass. Okay, so when the act of swallowing, here it is written, during the act of swallowing, a flap like valve closes the passage of the windpipe and guides the food into the food pipe. So that means what happens here, when we swallow the food, there is a valve which will close the passage of the windpipe. Okay, which will close the passage of the windpipe, and the food can pass through the common passage, okay, through the food pipe, into the food pipe. So if by chance the food particles enter the windpipe, we will feel choked or get hiccups or get cough. Am I clear? There is a common passage between, or for the air and food to pass. Okay, so during the act of swallowing, when we swallow the food, a valve is there, a flap like valve is there, which closes the path of windpipe for some time, and the food will be passed through the food pipe, through that common passage. And this is how, if any food particle goes into the windpipe by chance, then we'll get choked or get hiccups or even get cough. Okay, so this happens during hiccups. How hiccups we can get? Okay, by this. Okay, so that's all for today. We'll continue the chapter in the next class from the food pipe or say oesophagus. Okay, so thank you all. That's all for today.